Hello, divine beings. It's D Apology, they them pronouns. Hello. Welcome to another one. How does it? How goes it? How goes it over yonder? How are you feeling today? Great. Amazing. Some of you not so much. But that's okay. Hopefully by the end of this audio, you will feel much better. No, I have not been practicing my voice impressions. I am just a natural at voice things. If y'all know anyone who is looking for a voice actor, hit me up. Tell me. Let me know. So, let's just get into it, shall we? I know I would be an amazing character in something. It would be great, and I'm sure it'd be a lot of fun. I'm going to open up the space, and as I do so, I want you to take your deep breaths from the belly out. Woo! And then as we breathe out, sighing outwards. Yes, beautiful. And as we take these deep breaths, relaxing your being, tuning your nervous system to peace and calm. Oh yeah. Relaxing every cell in your body, draining your lymphatic system, transmuting and shifting out energy particles of stress, worry, anxiety, tension, tightness. Let's transmute that all into peace, love, joy. Beautiful. If you're feeling the release, simply allow yourself to be with the feeling. Allow it to flow through you. Don't hold on to it by trying to suppress it. And as you allow it to flow through you, tune into your heart space. And as you tune into your heart space, you sit in this place. Bring your attention and awareness to the releasal of those energies with curiosity. As if you're an observer of yourself experiencing while also experiencing. Oh, beautiful. There you go. It may be helpful for you to breathe in from your heart. Breathe in 5, breathe out 5. This brings you into heart-mind coherence now. Y'all, amazing. That should feel so much better for you. Oh, there's many of you. So, welcome. I'm going to open up the space, setting the intention. I'm a clear, pure channel of the highest light, love, and truth for the highest good of the collective today. That as you exist in energetic space with me, you may receive the clarity, the guidance, the energetic support you may need on your journey in the embodiment of your fullest, authentic self, so that you can live your best life, because you deserve to. Whether that be on a healing journey, or a transformation journey, or ascension, spiritual journey, whatever it may be. I am channeling rainbow crystal light today. So you are always at choice whether you want to receive yes or no. Simply say that in your heart. You are in energetic sovereignty. And I invite you to also tune into your intuition to see if this video, this audio, this energy is something you even want to tap into. You can do that by asking the question again to yourself and feeling the rise and fall of energy within your body. Rise is expansion, which is yes. Fall is contraction, which is no. You can also create an open channel, breathing in from the heart, creating open channel from your crown chakra outwards, coming into clear awareness and knowing of your truth intuitively. This second way of doing it, something I got from Spiritualistic, who is an amazing channeler as well. So I want to give credit where credit's due. Yeah, that's one way to quickly check in with your intuition. I have another video on that, so Check it out. Thank you, spiritual team, for helping me remain in energetic integrity and sovereignty. And the reason I do this intro is to provide an example for y'all of what it means to open a space, the different elements of it, to this setting intention, and so that y'all hear me. Many spiritualists don't do this, but I think it's very important for me to be very transparent about what I am intending when I'm creating and holding space and offering energy, so that you know what you're getting. Alright, beautiful. The space is open, it is set. And so I'm going to be talking about today taking your karma head on like a bull, like a ram, like rah, rah, rah. Yeah? And so that's something I want to really speak on, because in my life, like I mentioned, I went through a rapid spiritual awakening journey. And in those years, it was like over 4 years of me starting it consciously to completing being where I am now. I went through so many shifts and changes, and I'm at a place now where I've cleared my karma fully and completely. When I say karma, I mean negative, I use that in quotes, right? Negative karma, because there is no such thing as, in the grand scheme of things, it all just is, right? But let's say negative karma, for just clarity here. I cleared that all in 4 years. So my own personal, as well as a lot of intergenerational things that weren't even mine, that I did as well. And because I made that decision, and I realize now my future self actually did it. And by future self, it was a version of me now that manifested in part for me in the past, because time doesn't exist, it's an illusion. Everything is happening all at once. And time is merely moving in a circular fashion, like a spiral rather, upwards, and, at certain points in the spiral, certain events line up, and you have at a moment where you have an aha, you realize the different ways the cycles and patterns of your life line up across time. And I realized that I did that and manifested it in the future for my past self, of clearing all my karma right away. And what that meant, it sounds cool, like, yeah, I'm clearing my karma, but what it actually meant in real life was that since I was a kid up until this year, I have gone through a lot of ish, let's say that. I had gone through a lot of ish. I had went through a lot of cycles of death, rebirth, transformation, a lot of cycles of ego death, dark nights of the souls. I went through a lot of abuse and trauma, traumatic experiences, all to clear the karma. And so I noticed that, when I was in undergrad, I noticed that it was like every 2 to 3 years, some ish would go down. I would be in another cycle doing a whole other haul of myself. And I've been so many selves. I have so many old versions of selves I've had to let go over the years. And so that being said, deciding to take your karma on directly means that you are willing to go through the lessons, the big and the small ones, one after the other, without taking bite-sized chunks. Some people decide to, throughout their life, kind of spread out their lessons and their cycles, so it's more manageable. It's less intense that way. It's less stressful that way. If you're having a lesson here, a huge lesson here, maybe 5, 6, 10 years later you have another huge lesson, and then so on and so forth. But when you're having a huge lesson every 1.5 years, and by the time for me it was by the time I in the past recovered from one, I was about to enter another cycle of death and rebirth and phoenixing. And so it was very tiring for me to experience this. And I went through much of these cycles and patterns alone, and making a ton of mistakes and learning the hard way. With people accentuated on my path, I definitely had different soul family members accentuated on my path who helped guide me and give me the next thing I needed to move onwards. But it was definitely much a solo journey to taking my karma head on, and it was a journey I had to commit to. Because when you walk in a journey of experiencing like trial after tribulation after trial after tribulation, it was as if I was hiking. I would hike one mountain and it'd be like, yeah, I made it. And then it was like, oh wait, there's another mountain. And then you hike that mountain, and then oh wait, there's another mountain. And you hike that, and it was just mountain after mountain after mountain that I had to climb. And so, of course, when you're going through that, you develop a lot of strength, a lot of spiritual, energetic strength for having to hike and climb so many dang mountains. At the same time, I was, in the past, also energetically dragging people along with me. People were, in the past, hooked into my field that I didn't realize until I got that ish out, who were using my energy to bolster themselves, because most of these people unconsciously, subconsciously, not consciously doing it, most of them, because they just love my energy. And that was something I had to learn as well. Energetic integrity and sovereignty was very important for me, because I would give so much of myself energetically, and most people aren't conscious of that kind of exchange and what's actually happening, and it was not reciprocated at all. And so I found myself always not always, but I found myself often in a loss. And so taking my karma head on, it also meant that I had to be very focused, y'all. My life, in terms of the journey, the route, does not look like a typical journey of someone my age. At many times in my life, felt like I had to do things opposite to what my peers were doing. Like in my 20s, I was saving up and saving up and saving up, growing up in a low income, I say low income, but relative poverty, y'all. I grew up in the hood of Oakland. Relative poverty. And having my first job at 10, and knowing that I had to take care of myself financially. I saved up and saved up since I was 10. And I saved and saved and saved in my teens and undergrad, bringing myself through undergrad, and in my 20s for some reason. And I would watch my peers just have fun and be exuberant and lavish and use them, and it was just be in excess and do things that 20-year-olds do and late teens do. And I didn't do that. I didn't really date. I didn't do much of a lot, but really be focused and responsible in terms of getting my money right. And that was because there would be coming a time later on where I would need it, where I wouldn't be working, where I needed to dip into the savings that I was able to gather over the years to support myself. Even now in my life, it's like that same level of dissonance from, I feel like, my peers. I'm in a time and a space in my life where I'm seeing some of my peers get married and have kids and build businesses and move forward and progress in their careers. And on my side, I was heavily focused on my spiritual journey, on my expansion, on my inner self, on connecting and embodying my higher self, my multidimensional self, and my connection with Source as the foundation. I left a 6-figure job, y'all, corporate job. I was set. After coming from my background, I thought I was set. But again, Source Spirit's like, nah, this one's not where you're supposed to end up. So I left that. And so since then, it's been this level of of financial instability, but still me continuing forward on that path, walking it, knowing that, okay, something has to show up while me trying to do business. It was just a lot, y'all. Point being that my journey and the way my life has been structured has been seemingly opposite to what people would typically do in our society, because it's not one that is logical, rational. It has always been one rooted and guided by intuition, by spirit. even the times when I wasn't listening as much to my intuition because of whatever so reason, I always found a way to move forward after falling down, picking myself up and continuing forward, knowing that if this is where I'm being guided, it's because there's something better. And it's that hope that has always guided me. I have a wild sense of hope. It's wild. But it's that wild hope that has allowed me to say, okay, there has to be something better than this, because I'm feeling like I deserve it. Something better. And so part of my karmic claiming, choosing to take my karma head on, meant being confronted by people, places, situations that were spiritual entities, spiritual experiences that were extremely difficult for me to experience all on my own. And I'm never alone. I always have my spiritual team. And it required that I had to develop a sense of resilience and to forgive myself and be compassionate as much as I could. And to allow myself to learn from the mistakes, knowing that I was on a remembrance journey, that this journey that I was on was one in which I chose to walk so that I could eventually get to a place where I could live life like it's a fairy tale. Because that's all I really wanted, y'all, you know? I always had this idea as a kid that I was meant to live life in a magical, mystical life, and it was going to be a dream life, and it was going to be beautiful and like a fairy tale life. And some people would say that's unreasonable, that's unrealistic. And I say, this world is literally an illusion. Literally an illusion. And what you believe, the beliefs you hold in your subconscious, is what programs the illusion that you receive. So if I choose to believe that I can live this kind of life, the reality is going to fold so that I can live it. And I have to do what I need to do to embody it, to vibrate it, right? So I always felt that was the case. And I realized that the reason I felt that was because I would get to a point where I'd clear all the karma head on in the beginning of my life, so that I could live the rest of my life in that way. So that I wouldn't have to come back to this earth. After I die, I wouldn't have to come back. Instead, they would give me a brochure and be like, alright, where you trying to go? You trying to go back to source? Or you trying to go to X, Y, and Z? Because you got options, baby. I want options after I leave Earth. I don't, you know, let's be real here. You know, depending on when Earth solidifies into the 5D, you know, that's this lifetime. Most people who have not reached 5D in terms of their embodiment will have to experience their lessons in karma and other planets where they have a 4D planetary system to experience it. So, you know, you would only be able to return back to Earth if you're in 5D. Anyways, but you know, I want options. I want to be able to be like, no, I'm feeling like 70 is where it's at, so how about we just beam me there, Scotty? And that's what it's giving. That's what I wanted. And I realized that the fast track to hit, you know, choosing to have your karma on or head on fast track wise meant for me that I had to leave. I had to meet a lot of people who taught me a lot of hard lessons. And then I had to meet a lot of people who I wanted to keep in my life, but I had to move forward because I had other lessons and cycles I had to experience and move through. It meant that I've seen and experienced a lot of hardship spiritually to awaken to this level of embodiment and expansion and consciousness. I've experienced a lot of manipulation and control spiritually. And that's something that's not often talked about. And I still experienced it. Many spiritualists who come into the fullness and mastery of their spiritual abilities go through something to be able to utilize them and have the accurate discernment to provide direction for others, y'all. It's a journey, it's a process. And mine was in 4 years, just one after the other, one after the other, one after the other. Taking your karma on, head on. For me, felt like, or taking my karma on head on rather, felt for me like swimming and barely able to catch a breath. I felt many times that I was in between drowning and keeping my head above the water. And I was flailing many of the times. And it's interesting because many people would say that I didn't seem that way. And I say, you know what? I'm blessed with grace. And grace is a vibration that I work with. And because I may seem like I'm okay and that I'm moving through things just like a breeze in the wind, does not mean that's not what's happening inside, okay? What's happening inside could be something else. It could be a wild, wild west in there. And that's often how I felt. People would see me and make judgments about who I am and where I came from because of the way I hold myself with boys. Like, look, y'all, it is what it is. And I personally often end up feeling very alone and misunderstood. Now I really don't care. People gonna people. I don't care what your perceptions are of me. It's none of my business or concern at this point. But it took me some time to get here because for a really long time I did care. Because of the wounding I had regarding belonging and not feeling like I belonged because I was weird. Now I consider myself quirky and unique. And different. An individual. And we all are weird, quirky, unique, different individual. It's just not all of us have grown into that authentic self yet and have developed the confidence to just be that version of themselves, fully and freely, with ease and flow from the heart, boldly and confidently, baby. And I pray for you that you may get there, that place where you can just be your true self, your true authentic self, in divine alignment with your soul and your higher self and your multidimensional aspects and all the yummy juicy 3D parts of you and source, and just feel and know that no matter what is external to you, you belong. You belong already. You are already in community. And that there's a place within you, your inner world, where you will always be held and welcomed with love. You just gotta learn how to tune in and develop it and understand its language. Taking my karma head on has meant a lot of loss and disappointments. I had to learn, y'all. I had to learn about detachment real fast. I had to learn to let go. And let go is that people say let go and let God and move forward. Not because I wanted to, there's that, what do you call that phrase? If you want to go far, go together. If you want to go fast, go alone. And there was always this pressure on me that I felt like I had to just go. To just go. Come on, we gotta keep it going. Keep it moving, keep it moving. I had to keep my eye. It's like I didn't know it at the time, but I had to keep my eye focused on movement forward because there was something in me that knew that I was meant to move through all of this karma unbeknownst to me. Because if you would have told me in high school, well, you're going to have like whatever years of over decades of some ish, I would have said, you know what? Is there an exit route? I was there. I was in that place, y'all, many times in my life. Is there an exit route? Because I've already gone through enough. And that was me in high school. So imagine that being me in high school. I'm in my 20s and 30s. Like, what? You know what I'm experiencing what? If you would have told me. I say that laughing, y'all. But I say that joking. But it's real. It's so real, you know? And it's like, I did not know, but I there was something in me that's like, I had this laser vision that I needed to continue. That there was some sort of, I don't know, some sort of line, some sort of thing I needed to get through. And it made me realize that, okay, so 2024, y'all, we're in 2024. I know you know that. Some of you, are you surprised? And this year starts the opening of the ascension portal for Earth, for a stream of a lot of higher dimension energies and frequencies that are going to be flowing into the Earth grid and the collectives on Earth to ground in energies as Earth has shifted into the 5D. And so in the shift to the 5D, there are many energies that were not able to be seeded or grounded into many of the grids and collectives here that now can be, and that starts this year, 2024 to 2036, I believe. Give me a second, let me see. It's 2024 to 2020. I'm opening up my notes. 2033. And so energies are streaming in from the cosmos to octite a planned and divinely designed upgrade of what it means to be a human being. Life is changing as we know it. That's what I wrote down. And so many people have been doing this work far beyond being before me. I was a child breathing, and not aware of anything and anything. There were people doing this work and preparing for this time. And so you will start to see that there's going to be a lot of humans awakening right now, being awoken right now, as we say. But the truth is, you're really remembering. You're in the process of remembering. And millions and millions of people. And if you've gone through a spiritual awakening journey, a process, let's say, because one ascends, let's say, many times. You go through the process, you ascend, you reach a point, you solidify at that point, and then you ascend, and that's not the case all the time, y'all. For me in my journey, because I was taking it head on, and this is the thing about the karma, when you're taking your karma head on, right? I see karma as just dense energy to get through, to push through, to move through, and you just got to get through it, whether it be ancestral, whether it be past life, whether it be childhood trauma, like whatever it may be, wherever it comes from, it's just denser. And so when you're working through processing, recycling these energies, they get more refined and lighter, and you begin to ascend. And as you ascend, you also increase spiritually. You vibrate higher. Now, there are some people who might experience a spontaneous awakening, you know? And if that's the case, then you have to do the process of cleansing and purifying your being so your body can catch up to this new level of awareness. And so my process of awakening, I was doing it in tandem. It was like I was clearing my karma cycles head on through relationships and all of these different lessons and things I was learning. And then I was also ascending at the same time, and also cleansing and purifying my body, and also learning how to work with the spiritual realm and all of this juicy good stuff, coming into knowing of my abilities and my multidimensionality. And it was all happening at the same time rapidly, and it often felt like I was drinking water from a water hose, and I was often very confused and having to learn how to deal with other entities that may not be in alignment with my highest good or actively or positively serving me. And this is where energetic boundaries and shadow work comes in, y'all. Because as you awaken to these higher levels, your shadow, whatever is within you, in the beginning stages of your awakening, your ascension process, and your understanding will be reflected external. So if you have parts of yourself that you haven't looked at and seen or processed, that's going to be reflected to you. And so it's important that you cleanse and purify and then integrate those parts of you so that you can experience another reality that is in alignment with your new level of awareness. So taking my karma head on meant that I had this recurring yearning very often these past 4 years where I felt it was always some iteration of being left behind. Like I would get to a place and then meet people there and then they would move and I'd be like, wait, don't leave me behind, don't leave me behind. And it was a consistent theme of this idea of being left behind that I constantly had in dreams. And part of that was a sense of belonging, right? Of not feeling like I didn't feel then that I belonged anywhere. And so as I looked around me, and even just, not just externally, but even in the spiritualist starseed community, seeing myself so different and being like, whoa, okay, even here I feel like I'm not really where I'm meant to be. Or I feel very different than. I see people talking about a lot of light and love, and at the time I was doing a lot of like underworld work, a lot of lower astral realm work, working and dealing with transmuting some of the densest, lower density energies of the collective and of Earth. And I wasn't seeing anybody talking about it. You know, people were light loving, and I was just like, that's great for you, but over here it's giving another shade, okay? And I had to. No, I don't regret the work that I've done. That was part of my starseed mission. The strongest light workers are the ones who often get put in the darkest of places because we can hold the light and not be corrupted by, I say corrupted, let me not say that word, and not be swayed by the dark. And I've danced with temptation many times, y'all. I've danced and I've gone swung away and sucked into the dark and spit out. And that's no longer the case for me anymore, fortunately. But I had to learn. It was a process. It was due process, y'all. Due process. And in the learning and the making mistakes and the failure, I had to again forgive, have compassion, learn to let go and move on. Let go of people I wanted to have in my life, but there was I had a mentor who once said, not everybody wants to be the butterfly. Not everybody wants to transition. Not everybody wants to transform. Not everybody wants to evolve and grow. Not everyone wants to, and that's okay. That's the beautiful thing, is we are, yes, divine, source, and human. We also got free will. We can do whatever you want. And regardless of what your soul has come here to do, or your higher self has planned out for you, you can do whatever you want. Now there are certain things that are fated. Events, people, places, situations where you can run, you may hide, but it's going to catch up to you anyways, whether you like it or not. And that's the beauty of life, because we are source, and source is subjected to fate. And so each one of us has the different things in our lives where we just got to do, because it's going to come regardless anyways. Taking on my karma head on meant that I had to learn, and this was a hard lesson that I learned. I learned it the hard way many times, to trust myself. That was one of the biggest lessons. And even now, I guess, I mentioned in my videos last year regarding just feeling like and being a hypocrite. I wasn't trusting my intuition last year because I fell. I had a little fall, and I thought like, man, was I just making all this ish up? And I wasn't. My intuition has always been on point. But sometimes when you are walking a journey and a path, and it's so different, it looks so different, and you're seeing so different from the outside world, it can sometimes feel like you're crazy. And I felt many times like I was crazy and I was making ish up. And, I grew up in a family with a lot of gaslighting and this spirit of narcissism that I had to transmute. And that followed me through my relationships until I transmuted that energy once and for all. So there's also that layer of not trusting myself that came from those relationships and experiences of relationship. And so it meant that I had to really trust where I was being guided, even though I didn't know sometimes what was coming. And that was the big part, was embracing the unknown. I was saying, I don't know. This feels, I don't know. I had to come to this is the correction. When it came to the unknown, sometimes I did not know. There were times where I was scared, where I felt terrified because I didn't know. I decided to do this head on. So I would feel sometimes terrified of moving forward because I was like, am I just going to fall again? I would think then that after picking myself up, if I'm just gonna, get back to a situation where I had to fall again, I don't want to experience that, And so that it came with a lot of learning how to embrace the unknown, even though sometimes now I still get pangs of anxiety where I'm like, okay. But that has gone away. There's more peace, in which each and every day I sink deeper into peace. And as part of it, seeing the unknown as not negative, but just a place where everything and nothing exists. And so the unknown is an opportunity for me to be like, okay, from the unknown, what is an alignment and what is meant for me is going to arise. And so there's nothing to be scared. It required a lot of shifting of my perspective around uncertainty and the unknown and death. Death and I are cool. The frequency of it. I'm not scared of it because I experienced it energetically, spiritually so many times. Taking my karma head on meant that I had to learn how to detach from my ego. I feel like in the past couple of years I've kind of lived in a state of ego death where I would have a version of myself emerge and then that version would fade away and then I'd have to go back into restructuring my identity, and then another version of rage, and then that version would have to go away as I went back into restructuring my identity. Each time I learned another lesson and closed out a cycle, I grew, and I have so many past versions of myself. That's why I'm constantly changing my name, because it's all vibration, and I'm like, this name doesn't vibrate how I want it to with this version of me. And so there's all of that of learning how to really, I call it deadheading your ego, which is instead of waiting for it to happen to you, instead of waiting until, humans can be very stubborn, and the ego doesn't want to change. And eventually, if you come to enough ego depth, you realize that it's just a ball of energy that is encoded. And you can literally change the energies encoded, and there you go, boom, a new ego. And there's less of an attachment to it. However, that feeling of it happening can be scary, and the ego wants to hold on oftentimes to what it knows. It doesn't want to get shaken up, right? Unless your ego is really based on truly embracing transformation. Your ego is like, yes, transform me, yes, do it. Most people, that's not the case. So, it definitely isn't the case for me. I had to learn. Even now, my ego I'll be doing something and I'm like, all right, okay, calm down. Let's calm down. We gotta change this, shift it right. And that's after this most recent one where I was moving through some emotions of having to let go of an inherent sense of self. But I did. Even though I still have an ego. But I know I'm not my mind, I'm not my body. I'm not even all of my multidimensional selves. I'm literally a spark of source in a human vessel with many different facets and ways of experiencing reality across densities. And my doggo agrees, okay? Doggo barks confirmations for me from my neighbors. Doggo and I are friends, spiritually, but I've never seen Doggo's face. But we got mad love for each other. Alrighty, y'all. What else taking my karma head on has meant? Oh yes, I didn't talk about the deadheading the ego. Okay, deadheading the ego is the process of pruning certain parts of your ego continuously. So when you go to an ego death, it's kind of like an all-at-once process where you're like, whoosh, your ego you get put into the void, the unknown, and then you have your ego, your personality, this ball of light codes essentially, reprogrammed, updated, taken out, adjusted, and then you're feeling disconnected, and then all these things happen. You're going through a dark night of the soul, and you're like, who am I? What do I want? This doesn't resonate. There's all these questions, confusion, and then eventually you get turned on again. You're like, whoa, life, I'm alive. Who is this version of me? What's new? What do I want? What matters? Now, when you're deadheading your ego, it's the process of moving through life and being like, okay, boom. I'm noticing this part of my ego needs to go. Let me do that now. You're intentionally putting yourself through minute forms of ego death. Because at that point in time, at that process, you realize that, your ego, you are not the ego. You're not the body. And so that's the process I've been in these past couple of years. I've been deadheading my ego. And who I am today is not who I was 6 months ago. It's definitely not even who I was last month, okay? Versus a year ago. I'm a completely different person. And that's just been my life. I've been a completely different person. So taking my karma head on has meant that I have outgrown many people, places, situations, things very quickly because I've progressed very quickly. Because I was always willing to make the better choice, a stringent choice. When it came to being comfortable versus choosing to evolve, I often, majority of the time, in the past chose evolution. I chose growth. I chose transformation. And those choices often were not pleasant. It meant making choices that did not feel good and being like, well, we just gotta keep on keeping on. We just gotta do the thing. We just gotta keep putting one foot after the other. We just gotta pick ourselves back up. We just gotta have that temper tantrum, then go take a shower and go take that walk. I just gotta, and I say we because, me and my ego, that's we. I just gotta know that my feelings are facts, and even if I don't want to do something, then that don't matter. I still gotta do it. Otherwise, I'm just gonna be here, and here ain't good. Wherever here was, I just gotta suck it up. Admit that I had to give myself tough love, and there were many times where I didn't have to experience tough love, but I ended up having to give it to myself because I was being stubborn. In the past. And so I had to learn how to love myself unconditionally. And unconditional love is sometimes soft, sometimes gentle, and sometimes it's tough and hard. I had to learn how to be in truth. Like, there was no way I could face lesson and lesson, close cycles and patterns, break karmas, all of the karmas are broken, heal all of the traumas that I've healed, all the 15 chronic illnesses that I've healed myself from. All of that. There was no way I could do it if I was not able and willing to be in truth with myself. If I wasn't able and willing to look at myself and be like, we need to keep it real. We're not living up to whatever, or we're not doing what we need to do, or moving in the ways we need to move. It meant I had to keep myself accountable and responsible. And that meant living in truth. And that's why I embody the vibration of truth. I'm not completely, I'm attuned to it, because I had to practice it step after step, moment after moment, year after year, of being like, okay, what's the truth? What's the truth? What am I not looking at? What's the fear? It's literally years and years of shadow work, to the point where I at one point didn't know how to have fun. And that's still, it's a process. Taking my karma head on has meant that I had to do so much shadow work, y'all, that I got to know the darkness very well. I got to know shadow very well. Again, I mentioned I was in the underworld and lower astrals a lot. I got to know my subconscious very, very well. And I got to understand how all of it works. The subconscious, the lower astrals, the underworlds, these energies, these entities, the demons, whatever you want to call them. I got to understand them and know them and see it from a place of love, knowing that all was source, all is light and love, sparks of consciousness, no matter how they may seem. And so taking my karma head on has meant a lot of hard lessons, a lot of letting go and releasing, and going through cycles of transmutation and uncertainty and leaps, having to take leaps into the unknown when I wasn't sure if I would look or how I would look, or be taken or not taken. It's meant that I've had to get comfortable with the parts of myself that many would be terrified to even look at. And when I say comfortable, those parts of myself don't even exist anymore at this point, but comfortable in terms of understanding they were there and why they were there and what they were meant to do and how they could serve me or not serve me, and what I need to do with those energy particles. Because it's all energy at the end of the day. No matter how much we may personify, objectify certain energies, right? At the end of the day, everything is an energy particle, is made up of energy particles and ions, at the very least. And taking my karma head on, I've had to this feels kind of hard to say. I've had to be comfortable with I'm sitting with the feeling, y'all. Give me a second. I've had to be comfortable with losing. And I didn't want to say that word because I've shifted that with not being where I might have thought or wanted to be. And that's something that's been big for me because, as I said, I grew up in relative poverty in the hood, first generation low income family. A lot of intergenerational trauma, with just violence done to me in my environment, everywhere. And not not having that sense of stability and security physically for a long time really made me have to look within and understand that it was being called to develop a sense of stability and security from within first. And we live in a society that's so rooted on status and titles and positions and all of this dysfunctional, masculine, unhealed energy. That's what it is. Systems built on white patriarchy that are crumbling. If you've noticed, y'all, they're crumbling, the systems, structures since pandemic. Honestly, since Trump was a big part of that. That was his role to play in this lifetime. I know a lot of people talk about Trump and all, but we have to remember every soul has come for a purpose. And there are some souls who've come to illuminate the world by showing them exactly who they are. And that was Trump's role. Is his role. It still is. And I'm not condoning anything he has done, y'all. I'm just saying, from a spiritual perspective, when I see him and look at him, that is how I perceive him. He's like what's that word? A foil? I think that's the right word. F-O-I-L. He's a foil character. A foil character. It's like a foil character. Oh yes. A foil character is a character in a story who contrasts another character, usually the protagonist, to highlight the protagonist's traits and qualities. The term foil comes from the practice of placing a foil behind a gemstone to make it shine more brightly. So pretty much his role was to show and bring to the forefront the shadows of white dominant culture, of these white patriarchal systems. So that once and for all, it could be out in the open. No more need to hide in it. No more need to hide in it. Anyways, enough about him. I don't even want to say that. Let's just say, I know we're all rooting for Harris, but prophecy-wise, that's not who I've been told is going to win. And I don't want to say the name because I don't want to speak that into I don't want to speak those energies. What I've been told is it's not, this election's not going to be pretty. It ain't. Take that at what you will, y'all. But y'all know what happened when did Trump get elected? Oh gosh. Y'all know what happened when he when he won. So that's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say about that. Back to what I was saying, losing. I really had to transmute this idea of winning in competition and understand that there is no winning, there is no losing. There is simply learning, and each and every person is on their own path and journey, and each and every person is meant to thrive and be abundant and prosperous. And so I had to detach and separate my idea of worth and how I saw myself from what it was I had. Because for a long time, externally, I did not have much to show. But I wasn't building my empire in the physical material world. I was building it in myself, in my soul. I was building it in spirit. And so that's where I had to really come into acceptance of where I was at. And when I saw my peers building, or the people around me building externally, while I was doing the opposite, was building internally. And in the external, it might have looked, I know how it was perceived. I know back then how it was perceived. Unfortunately, I met a lot of people who didn't see me as whatever. Not that it matters. Didn't see me as an equal because of the lack of material that I possessed. And the thing is that I made that choice, y'all. I could have definitely stayed at that 6-figure job and worked my way up and been very financially abundant. Coming from a place where I was on free and reduced lunch and wore clothes from the Goodwill and thrift store before it was popular, I was set, and yet I made the crazy choice to leave and to not know where my finances were going to come from. I made the choice to trust my intuition. And so that idea of losing was something I had to really transmute for myself into, if I'm being called to let this go, it's because something bigger and better and more is coming along. And that's something I've had to really work through for myself, of not judging my worth, not judging my value or by external parameters. I had to really reconfigure and reconstruct my sense of value and self based on my own parameters and what it is that I knew about me and what it is that and how I saw myself. My own version of currency. FYI, the next version of currency, y'all, is not money, it's energy. It's creativity. That is going to be what propels many people into this next chapter and cycle of this ascension portal, y'all. Where people can build their dream lives based on what they love to do and their passion. It's going to be their energy and their creativity that attracts. When you've done the internal spiritual work, you're magnetic, and you can be electric, right? Because we have both masculine and feminine energies within our beings. Especially being a light, being a light worker. I am a light worker. So having to excavate my light meant that I had to see and appreciate my light and value myself far beyond what anyone could put on me as a value, and know that whatever I do or produce, I have a right to charge what I want to charge because I know what I've gone through and the work that I've put into myself internally to get here. I know what the depths I've had to traverse to be the person I am today. Unfathomable to many. The energies I've had to withstand, the spiritual entities I've had to withstand and to meet face to face, and with love and light say, I love you, I see you, you're source too. Y'all, when I see a demon, I don't run away or scared. I'm just like, okay, what you want? You know? No? Okay. Well, but who sent you? And you know what? I'm going to give you a couple of options of how we can do this. Let's ready to hear the options. That's how I'm not even phased anymore. That is the resultant outcome of what I've had to go through. Some may call it whatever. I don't even like use the word spiritual attack or abuse. Because from a higher perspective, y'all, we came here to experience and to grow. You can only grow with the friction. That's not true. Let me not say that. One of the ways we can grow stronger is through friction and the experience of duality and polarity. I was going to say, you don't only have to go through that. You can grow through beautiful, amazing, wonderful, loving experiences as well. It's just that in my lifetime, I'm going to tell you straight up, my spiritual journey has not been that. Majority of my spiritual journey has been pain and suffering. No, I won't say suffering. Accentuated, because suffering for me is a perspective. It's a matter of perspective. It's not fact. But it came through a lot of darkness and shadow. The vast majority of my experience was that. So I come to where I am now from a very different place than what I typically see out in the spiritualist communities. And because I come from this unique perspective of the world and source, having been in the shadows, in the subconscious, in the dark for so long, but no longer there, thank goodness. What was I going to say? It helped me be able to face my karma head on, because I honestly had the wherewithal to just put up with it. Honestly, I got used to pain, but in the past, I see now how I was so guarded. I was so guarded because I was experiencing a lot of ish, and I didn't trust then that people could treat me soft, because that wasn't my experience. I didn't trust then that people could see me, that people would, but now I do. But I didn't trust back then that I could be treated in the way that I knew I deserved to be. And so when people came up to me, you know, I had my sword up. I had my sword up, and I was like, I'm on a mission. Don't you forget. Anyways, that all being said, that it's been a journey, y'all. Taking your karma head on. If you so choose, you can choose to do it where it don't matter how old you are. You can choose to kick your trauma head on right now. You can make that choice. You can ask your spiritual source. You can say, hey, look, y'all, I want to take my karma. Let me not say that out loud because you're listening. You can ask them to give you your karma head on. The remaining that you may have. All of it. Not just this lives, your soul, your past lives, and ancestral. You can ask for it. But I want to tell you, you heard what I said. If you ask for it and it's given, you know you're in for something. You're going to be in for something. And it's not always going to be easy. It may be challenging. And I say maybe because everybody's different. We got some unique folks. There could be some outliers. But it's a choice you can make. If you want to take it one after the other, like a heart pill to swallow. I've swallowed many heart pills to the point that now that if I'm taking pills, I can literally swallow 7 at a time. I think it all is aligned, because my ability to swallow the heart pills of life and energies and spiritual, just all of it, the lessons and the karma has resulted in me being able to swallow the actual pills of life. So now I literally can put 7 and swallow in one gulp and be like, I'm done. But I'm at a point where I don't have to. I'm no longer required to do that. And so that's a transition. A transition into safety within, because I've worked on my inner home and world to such a degree that it can provide me with the peace that I've so desperately wanted my entire life. And for that I'm grateful. Because taking my karma head on meant I had to, I meant perseverance. Gargoyle said yes, perseverance. And being patient. Not knowing if it would end, when it would end. Whew. But I'm here. I'm a living testimony. You can do it. Would I suggest it? No. be honest, experiencing so much bitterness for so long, can take a toll on a person. Dog will say yes. And it definitely took its toll on me. Not that I'm bitter by any ways, but it's like someone coming back from a long war, and they're like, the veterans, like, I've done seen some things. I've done experienced some things. Knowing that you can't unsee or unexperience it all. That's me, y'all. Spiritually and energetically, and just human as well. So regardless of how old my soul is, my human life that I've experienced, I feel so much older. I once had a reader be like, this is when I was in my 20s though, you used to live the life of a 50-something-year-old. And I was like, tell me about it. So if that was then, I don't know, how old am I now in the lives I lived? 60s, 70s, 80s? Gosh. And that was the path I took to become a spiritually mature adult. That is the path I took to become a spiritual elder. Let me keep it real. Because that is what I am. In a young body. With a young heart. It's been a journey. It really has. And so taking your karma head on, if you so choose to do it, make sure you develop the resources that you may need and community. Because I did it alone, and I don't suggest that. It's important to have community. And that's part of why I do what I do here, is to share and to help people feel less alone, to know that there's hope at the end of the tunnel. There is light. And no matter how many times you may get into that tunnel, there is always going to be a light at the other side. And that you can make it through. Because I've had to walk the dark tunnel, sometimes blindfolded, many, many times. And so I learned it like the back of my hand. Alright, I'm going to stop there. Oh my gosh, it's like 108, abundance, changing, transformation. It is through our ability to allow ourselves to have those new beginnings that may seem scary or unsure, where one may feel shy about, or wishful, that can bring in and usher in that sense of wonder and abundance. It's allowing yourself to really delve into the what ifs. And instead of being like, what if this didn't work out? Be like, well, what if it worked out better than I thought? What if I'm pleasantly surprised? What if I'm like, wow, that was amazing? This is called the What If Up game that I learned from a transformation speaker called Tara Nicole Kirk. What If Up game. So instead of what if down, what if up? What if everything was up? Everything was positive, everything was optimistic. And this again is to allow yourself to train that part of yourself that is more, maybe more geared towards the pessimistic. And that's the mind. The human mind works on patterns, right? And pattern recognition. So it's not your fault. You gotta redo the structure, you redo the pattern, because remember, if you want to experience something new, you have to begin to vibrate something new. And to vibrate something new, you must choose different energy particles. And part of the doing that is choosing different energy particles to believe, different energy particles to call in. So I invite you to play that game and to call in energy particles of hope and expansion and optimism. Be wild in your hope. Because as you do that, you are attuning your neurons in your mind and the water molecules in your body to a new way of being and existing, such that when you can come upon a decision like taking your karma head on, you can be like, well, what if up? Whether it be reaching out to a person or starting something new or ending something or leaving something or someone, what if up? What if I did deserve better? Then what? 1 on the timer, y'all. We go in there. New beginnings all around. Make a wish right now. I'm talking to you. Make a wish right now from your heart. You don't have to, but if you want. Okay? What if that wish came true? Feel it. Feel the feelings of it coming true. And know that you just now shifted your energy such that you started in the quantum field the necessary movements of energy particles for your reality to begin to reflect that by simply feeling and allowing yourself to dream. Wherever, whenever you are, I don't take you for granted, so I hope you don't too. I am so grateful for you. I love you. Take care deeply. You are safe. You are guided, protected, supported, and assisted on your journey. And may you go in peace, joy, and love. I thank my special team for having me remain in energetic integrity and sovereignty. And I ask that as we close this space, you hydrate, please. It's a lot. It's been long, and I've not talked this long for a while. So it just shows you how many conversations I have that are long, like this. Hydrate. I'm going to hydrate after this, and